Kevin Stefanski's true intentions with Kenny Pickett revealed after Browns cut ties with QB. A turning point in Cleveland's quarterback saga. The NFL has always been a theater of uncertainty, where one play, one injury, or one front office move can rewrite careers overnight. But few teams embody this volatility quite like the Cleveland Browns. With a quarterback room that has ballooned and shifted throughout the 2025 offseason, head coach Kevin Stefanski finally tipped his hand this week. The Browns shipped Kenny Pickett to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 2026 fifth-round pick, ending a brief and uneven tenure that never felt permanent. For outsiders, the trade was a simple depth chart adjustment. For insiders, it was the unveiling of Stefanski's true long-term intentions. This wasn't about Pickett's hamstring or even his struggles in training camp. It was about clearing the runway for the rookies, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, and stockpiling assets for the quarterback-rich 2026 draft class. Kenny Pickett borrowed time in Cleveland. From the moment Pickett arrived in Cleveland, his role was hazy. The Browns had already leaned on Joe Flacco, the battle-tested veteran whose leadership and consistency gave the franchise its most stable quarterback play in years. At the same time, the team invested in two rookies with vastly different trajectories. Dillon Gabriel, the accurate and efficient Oklahoma product, and Shedeur Sanders, the flashy, media-savvy signal caller from Colorado whose draft slide stunned analysts. Pickett entered that mix with one glaring issue. There simply wasn't room for him. The injury setback, a grade 2 hamstring pull on July 26th, left Pickett on the sidelines at a crucial time in camp. The crowded battle. Even at full health, he was locked in a four-way duel with Flacco, Gabriel, and Sanders. The ticking clock. With Week 1 looming on September 7th, Stefanski needed clarity, not clutter. The writing was on the wall. Flacco was entrenched as the starter, Gabriel was steadily climbing, and Sanders, though inconsistent, was showing just enough flash to demand patience. Pickett became expendable. When the Raiders came calling, Cleveland pulled the trigger, recouping the exact draft capital they'd previously surrendered for him. It was less a loss than a calculated reset. Stefanski's master plan, eyes on 2026. To the casual fan, moving Pickett may have looked like a mid-preseason roster shuffle. But to those watching closely, it signaled something far bigger. Stefanski is already strategizing for the 2026 draft. The Browns' quarterback room has been one of the most unusual in the NFL this offseason. With Flacco, Gabriel, Sanders, Pickett, and even short-term insurance like Tyler Huntley, it often felt like an overcrowded experiment rather than a stable depth chart. Trading Pickett wasn't just about trimming the roster. It was about creating flexibility. Draft assets. By adding another 2026 pick, the Browns inch closer to having ammunition for a quarterback-heavy draft class. Veteran reliance. Flacco's Ironman streak and leadership made it clear that Cleveland didn't need a bridge QB like Pickett. Youth development. Gabriel and Sanders both needed reps. Clearing Pickett out of the way gave them a real chance to develop behind Flacco without splitting snaps unnecessarily. Jake Vulinek of 92.3, the fan was blunt in his assessment. For weeks on weeks, the Browns have been trying to convince us. We are going to move forward with Kenny Pickett. I don't know how many people were buying it. It never really felt like I did. The only thing that was creeping in was fear that they were actually going to make the wrong decision and just keep four quarterbacks. In other words, the Browns were posturing. The Pickett era was over before it ever began. Pickett's exit. Blessing or curse for Shedeur Sanders? On paper, Kenny Pickett's trade should be great news for Shedeur Sanders. One less quarterback means more reps, more visibility, and more opportunity to cement himself as part of Cleveland's future. But the NFL rarely operates in straight lines. Shortly after the trade, ESPN Cleveland's Tony Grossi delivered a warning shot. Browns trade Kenny Pickett to LV Raiders. I would not be surprised if they bring back Tyler Huntley to be QB3, which is what I proposed in my TLOD column this morning. Grossi wasn't speculating idly. The Browns had already brought in Huntley earlier in camp when Pickett's hamstring sidelined him, only to release the former Pro Bowler days later. With Pickett now gone, Huntley becomes the most logical candidate to step back into the QB3 role. That spells danger for Sanders. Why? Because unlike Gabriel, who logged more preseason action and posted 272 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, Sanders' resume is thinner. His 152 yards and 2 touchdowns looked sharp in highlights, but the sample size was smaller. Coaches tend to favor players who've shown consistency over volume. If Huntley returns, Sanders could find himself relegated to a practice squad role, or worse, dangled as trade bait. Dillon Gabriel, the quiet climber. Amid the chaos, Dillon Gabriel has quietly emerged as Cleveland's most intriguing developmental quarterback. Unlike Sanders, whose every move is magnified by his last name, Gabriel has flown under the radar. But his efficiency, quick release, and composure in preseason have not gone unnoticed. 272 preseason yards show he can handle volume. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions reveal areas to clean up, but also that he's being trusted with reps. Poise under pressure suggests he's better positioned than Sanders to win the QB2 job outright. If Stefanski is looking for a steady hand behind Flacco, Gabriel is the frontrunner. The Shedeur question: flash or future? That leaves Shedeur Sanders in a precarious position. Coming out of Colorado, he was projected as a first-round pick. Some scouts even slotted him inside the top 10. But draft night humbled him, dropping to the 3rd day in one of the most shocking slides in recent memory. His preseason moments, like a sharp red zone touchdown and a deep completion under pressure, reminded everyone why he was once viewed as elite. But in Cleveland's crowded room, flashes may not be enough. If Huntley returns and Gabriel continues his rise, Sanders may be left clinging to the QB4 spot or fighting to stay on the roster at all. Kevin Stefanski's gamble. Ultimately, Stefanski is threading a delicate needle. He has to win now with Flacco, develop rookies for the future, stockpile capital for 2026. It's a balancing act that risks alienating young players while also trying to squeeze every ounce of consistency out of a veteran quarterback. For Sanders, the stakes are higher than most realize. The narrative around him, whether he's the flashy son of a Hall of Famer or a legitimate NFL quarterback, may hinge on what happens in the next few weeks. Conclusion: the domino effect of a trade. The Browns' decision to move Kenny Pickett was never just about Kenny Pickett. It was about recalibrating their quarterback strategy for both the present and the future. For Flacco, it solidifies his role as the unquestioned starter. For Gabriel, it accelerates his path as a trusted backup. For Sanders, it introduces both opportunity and danger, more reps, but also the looming shadow of Tyler Huntley. Kevin Stefanski has shown his hand. He's not married to any short-term solutions. His eyes are fixed firmly on the horizon, where the 2026 draft may provide the Browns with their long-term answer at quarterback. But until then, the drama in Cleveland's quarterback room is far from over. For Shedeur Sanders especially, the Pickett trade may not be a lifeline. It may be the beginning of the toughest test of his young NFL career.